At the most crucial juncture, Zishe left behind a final testament, declaring that all secrets were stored within the clear Harmony Palace Hall atop Boundless Mountain. Ling Han's heart churned with curiosity. What did she truly mean when she said that everything across the last few great eons had been a lie? This was certainly no momentary lapse of reason. For an ultimate elite of the shattering void tier to willingly turn her blade against her own clansmen, and even offer up her life merely to let this truth surface. Such a matter hinted at implications vast enough to shake heaven and earth. Now that they had set foot in the Middle State, uncovering the secret Zishe left behind naturally became a matter of utmost priority. The tortoise shell had expanded to nearly 100 meters in span and weighed several thousand kilograms, yet Ling Han's physical might was terrifyingly strong. He bore it single-handedly without circulating even a shred of origin power. Studying the map, he compared it carefully with his memories, excluding mountain ranges and plains that were clearly inconsistent. There are still as many as 21 places. Ling Han shook his head. He could only narrow it down so far. There were still 21 mountain ranges that matched what he vaguely recalled from years past. After all, he had never personally been there, and being able to reduce the scope to this extent was already no small feat. Should we depart now, or wait until after the tournament? Ling Han pondered inwardly. Searching for the Clear Harmony Palace Hall will certainly not be finished in a day or two. Since I've already promised to assist in the tournament, I cannot go back on my word. Very well, then we'll head out once the tournament ends. But must we really remain at the Spirit Treasures Pavilion for this entire month? All right. Yinghong mentioned that many have recently emerged from ancient historical sites, and it's highly likely they possess treasures they themselves cannot use. Such items would naturally be placed up for auction. Then let's see when the auction begins. As fate would have it, there happened to be an auction that very night. Moreover, it was the large-scale auction held once every month. And in another month's time, the grand super auction held once a year would arrive. A truly magnificent affair with countless rare treasures. Rumors claimed that even deity transformation and heaven-tier elites sometimes made appearances. However, participation in the monthly large-scale auction required an invitation. Thus, Ling Han went to find Yinghong and asked her to help him secure one. In his view, although Yinghong's standing within the Spirit Treasures Pavilion of the Middle State was not particularly high, obtaining an invitation should not have posed any difficulty. Yet the outcome was unexpected. Yinghong returned empty-handed. "I'm about to die of rage." Yinghong stormed in, her face blazing with fury. "That Yingqi actually dared to block me. When I asked for an invitation, she refused and kept trying to steer the conversation elsewhere." Ling Han frowned and asked, "You couldn't get it?" Yinghong slumped down at the side, saying helplessly and unhappily, "That stopped me. She just wouldn't give me one." "She has a grudge against you?" Ling Han asked. "You could say that," Yinghong thought briefly. "She's simply jealous that my breasts are bigger than hers." Ho ho. Ling Han naturally did not believe that. "She's my third uncle's daughter, and my third uncle doesn't get along well with my father." She finally told the truth. Ling Han gave an "oh," so it was a feud within the clan. "I'll think of another way to help you get an invitation," Yinghong continued. Ling Han shook his head and said, "I'll just use my own method." "You? What can you possibly do now?" Yinghong looked unconvinced. Ling Han grinned. "Don't forget my true identity." Yinghong was startled. "No way, are you certain you want to take such a risk?" "This isn't taking a risk," Ling Han replied with a smile. "It's reducing it." He decided to appear in his original identity. As a heaven-grade alchemist, was he still unqualified to attend an auction? And whatever precious item he purchased, all eyes would fall upon Ling Han rather than Han Lin. Once the auction concluded, Ling Han would vanish, and Han Lin would reappear. Tsk, perfectly safe. Having made his decision, Ling Han relaxed. At dinner, he brought out various delicacies stored within the Black Tower to share with everyone, and all ate to their heart's content. This was especially true for Helian Xunshui and Yinghong. Neither had enjoyed such food often, so both fought over dishes without the slightest concern for their ladylike image. In any case, Neither of them were refined ladies to begin with. One had lost her memories, and the other often spoke openly of sleeping with him. What restraints did they have? "If you let me eat like this every day, I wouldn't mind even throwing myself at you," the shameless woman said. Ling Han naturally pretended not to hear. Leaving the Spirit Treasure's pavilion, he quietly removed the disguise on his face and returned to his original appearance. Then he strode back toward the pavilion. "This honored guest. Our pavilion is not open to the public tonight. We are only receiving special guests," someone called out just as he stepped onto the staircase. Ling Han declared his identity outright. "I am Ling Han, a heaven-grade alchemist. May I be considered a special guest?" "What?" The attendant was visibly shocked by the words, "heaven-grade alchemist." After a moment's hesitation, he hurriedly replied, "Please wait a moment, honored guest. I will immediately report to my superior." He rushed upstairs in a flurry, while another supervisor naturally remained below to maintain order. At this time, the auction was about to begin, and many people passed by. There were middle-aged figures who walked with a soldier's stride, elderly individuals whose depths were unfathomable, and youths brimming with soaring vigor who carried themselves with lofty pride. Naturally, all possessed invitations and were admitted without obstruction. Some noticed Ling Han waiting at the base of the staircase and immediately revealed looks of disdain. He wanted to enter without an invitation? Where did this beggar come from? "Hey, brat, how about you kneel down and call me Lord, and I'll take you inside to have a look?" There were always those with cheap mouths who ignored the fact that Ling Han was a flower blossom tier cultivator. In the Middle State, flower blossom tier cultivators were hardly considered extraordinary. Ling Han's gaze turned icy. "With such a filthy mouth, aren't you afraid of bringing calamity upon your clan?" This was a profligate young master in his 20s, merely at the spiritual ocean tier, yet radiating an arrogance that proclaimed, "Heaven first, earth second, and himself third." "You damn brat! Do you know who I am?" the spoiled young master barked arrogantly. "My surname is Sun." "Oh, grandson," Ling Han nodded. The young master erupted in fury and leapt up in rage. This brat was humiliating him far too much. "Young Master Sun, don't be angry. He's just a country bumpkin. And this is the Spirit Treasure's pavilion. It wouldn't be appropriate to make a move here." Someone quickly stepped in to smooth things over. It was a companion of the spoiled youth. The young master snorted, flicked his sleeve, and said, "Consider yourself lucky. Otherwise, I would have skinned you alive." Ling Han shook his head. Using a single finger would be more than enough to kill such trash. In any case, countless people were already eyeing a heaven-grade alchemist like him, so adding one or two more enemies hardly mattered. "The 5 dragons and twin phoenixes have arrived." It really is them. That aura is simply too astonishing. At that moment, a sudden commotion rippled through the crowd. Everyone turned to look behind them. A group of 7 strode forward, 5 men and 2 women, all appearing to be in their mid-20s. Yet each was like a towering giant among peers, and every one of them had reached the flower blossom tier. The Middle State truly lived up to its reputation. To think there were so many flower blossom tier cultivators under 30 years of age. And this was merely Million Treasures City, not an ancient grand sect like Heaven's Sword Sect or Cloud Phoenix Sect. Who knew how many monstrous geniuses those sects possessed? The 5 dragons and twin phoenixes were the 7 most outstanding figures of the younger generation in Million Treasures City. All were members of the city's great clans. Without such backing and cultivation resources, no matter how heaven-defying one's talent, breaking into the flower blossom tier before 30 would be impossible. The 7 advanced with upright backs and fearless steps, each exuding an air of supreme confidence. "Yi?" One of the dragons noticed Ling Han and could not help but look surprised. "I didn't expect to find someone this young already in the flower blossom tier." "Haha, brat, become my follower." Translator, Dark Angel. Edikarisu. What? Jiaozhang actually wants to take in this young man as a follower? This young brat has truly received a great blessing. Jiaozhang's father is Grandmaster Kang's youngest disciple, and his talent in alchemy is said to be extraordinary. His future achievements would be boundless. Which Grandmaster Kang? Haha, in Million Treasures City, who else dares to call himself Grandmaster Kang? Could he be the heaven-grade alchemist? Kang Zishi, Grandmaster Kang? Of course. A chorus of astonished gasps rose from the crowd, many casting envious glances at Ling Han. To become Jia Zhang's follower meant endless access to alchemical pills. Many longed to be taken under his wing, yet Jia Zhang never spared a glance at them. Even the once arrogant profligate couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of jealousy. His background was nothing to scoff at, yet it paled in comparison to Jia Zhang's. One might liken him to a dragon, but Jia Zhang? He was akin to a beast, far superior in stature. All eyes were now fixed on Ling Han. Despite the shock, it seemed impossible for him to decline such an enticing offer. Ling Han turned his gaze to Jia Zhang, his lips curving into a smile. Are you sure you are worthy of me following you? Ha ha! Jia Zhang burst into laughter. Young man, you managed to break through to the flower blossom tier at such a tender age. Impressive. But from this point onward, the natural treasures that can benefit you are scarce. You'll be forced to rely on alchemical pills from high-grade alchemists to continue advancing. My father is a disciple of a heaven-grade alchemist. Tell me, don't you think I am worthy for you to follow me? Indeed, Jia Zhang spoke truthfully. Before reaching the flower blossom tier, alchemical pills primarily served as healing aids. Yet from the flower blossom tier and beyond, they became indispensable for any cultivator's progress. Comprehending the natural Dao was an arduous task, but high-grade alchemists had the means to extract natural essence from medicinal ingredients, transmuting them into patterns, a form of consciousness that helped cultivators deepen their understanding and accelerate their cultivation. Ling Han chuckled and said, Ah, so you've managed to break through to the flower blossom tier before 30. You're barely worthy of being called a genius. But in the future, perhaps you can follow me, and I'll allow you to be my servant. Pfft! A gasp filled the air. Could this brat truly be so audacious as to suggest that Jia Zhang should follow him? The confidence he displayed was simply unimaginable. Jia Zhang had not expected this either. He had already laid bare his impressive lineage, but Ling Han remained unmoved. For a moment, he was left speechless. Ha ha ha! Jia Zhang, looks like you've been beaten, haven't you? One of the other 5 dragons couldn't help but laugh. That's right, normally you flaunt your alchemical pills at every turn. Now they've finally hit a wall, haven't they? Jia Zhang's face flushed with anger as he snapped. Wall of iron? It's nothing more than a wall of wood. He's in the second layer of the flower blossom tier, and you still think of him as a wall of wood? Another one chimed in, enjoying the chaos. Jia Zhang's humiliation only deepened. I could suppress him easily with a single move. Jia Zhang, you too are in the second layer of the flower blossom tier, someone pointed out, adding fuel to the fire. Ha! The cultivation level may be the same, but there's a vast difference in battle prowess. My battle prowess is 7 stars. Jia Zhang boasted arrogantly. To possess battle prowess surpassing 5 stars was a terrifying feat. Those above 2 stars were considered geniuses, while those with 5 stars were outright super geniuses. Enough! One of the twin phoenixes, a maiden in green robes, intervened. Her beauty was ethereal, rivaling the likes of Lu Yutong and Li Si Chan. With her celestial temperament, she resembled a goddess. The auction is about to begin. It would be best if we moved inside. For Miss Li's sake, I'll spare you this once, Jia Zhang grumbled, his pride stinging. At this, the girl in red robes, a mischievous soul, waved toward Ling Han and said, It seems you're waiting here. You don't have an invitation, do you? Why not join us? Our private room is spacious, so adding one more person is no trouble. Ling Han's smile widened as he replied, Thank you for the invitation, but I, as a human, would rather not sit with cats and dogs to avoid lowering my own status. His gaze landed on Jia Zhang, and the meaning was clear. He likened Jia Zhang to an animal. The crowd gasped. Not only did Jia Zhang seethe with fury, but even the others in his group felt offended. Were they being compared to animals as well? Brat, watch your mouth, one of them barked. Oh? Ling Han remained unbothered. You all come here, and the first thing you do is ask me to be your follower. Is that really reasonable? Then bring your fathers here. I'm in a good mood today, so I might consider taking them as my followers. How dare you? The 5 dragons roared in unison. Had this young man completely lost his senses? Each of their fathers was an influential figure. This was a death wish. Ling Han's expression remained cold as he said, "You're offended? Before you speak, think carefully. There are some people in this world that you cannot afford to provoke." The crowd went silent. To declare oneself untouchable in the presence of the 5 dragons and twin phoenixes was to invite a storm of wrath. These 7 individuals represented the power of Million Treasures City. Even the city itself had to show them respect. Ling Han was barely 20 years old, and yet here he was, facing them down with such self-assurance. No one could fathom where his overwhelming confidence came from. Could it be that he had truly lost his mind? "Have the 7 of us been away for too long that the people have forgotten our power?" One of the 5 dragons, Lai Chin-yun, said coldly. His family's patriarch was in the deity transformation tier, and while his clan was considered weaker among the 5 dragons, his martial prowess was unmatched. The green-clad girl merely frowned slightly. "Forget it. He's just a madman." Her name was Li Fei-yun, the heir of the Li clan, an ancient powerhouse in Million Treasures City. Though rumors abounded that their heaven-tier expert had fossilized, no one could say for certain. The red-clad girl, however, was eager for more drama. She pulled Li Fei-yun aside, saying, "Big Sister Yun, this brat's pride is unparalleled. Let's see if he can back it up." Her name was Ding Ban Xiang, and like the others, she hailed from a family with a heaven-tier cultivator. The 5 dragons glared at Ling Han, their collective aura like a mountain pressing down on him. Even the most formidable cultivators in the flower blossom tier would have trembled under such pressure, their legs shaking, unable to stand firm. Yet Ling Han stood tall and unfazed. These 5 may be strong, but they were far from the level of Yao Hui Yue, Xuanyuan Zi Guang, or even Lang Wuxin and Fei Hong. They were nothing to him. "Are you all playing a game of crossing your eyes?" he asked. This boy had no fear. Even now he dared mock them. "Brat, speak your name," Jiazhang demanded, his face twisted in fury. "What do you intend to beat me?" Ling Han asked, feigning surprise. "Those with cheap tongues need to be properly disciplined," Lai Chin-yun snarled.